Hey guys, Quentin here. Today's video is about an API I built, specifically a YouTube summarizer API that I made, and I've been actually I wanted to walk you through my step process and how I actually put this into production, where I can actually call this from my own server. So the API has been, like, the idea of the API has been actually coming from three specific problem, or I would say two people plus one problem. We had recently a lot of issue and a lot of challenge with actually make.com having actually zero code kit, for example, to make the transcript available, and or any other methods, because the IP is getting blocked by YouTube, which actually make the transcript or the summarization of the video a little more complex. The idea came also from Charles, a friend of mine, who actually asked me to look into one of his challenge with one of his scenario where basically he was returning the metadata of the video. So I thought it was a cool idea, cool project. And so the other one was also Andy from the community, from Jack's community, where he had actually challenged with the transcript not being stable at all. And this is the reason why I wanted to build my own API. So here is actually how the system works. And this is actually coming from a curl, so it's coming from my terminal on my Mac, but regardless, you can make this via Postman. You can actually hook this into a website if you want it. Like, this is just for the demonstration purpose, but here is the ID. So I would actually, for now, the API has actually two endpoints. We have actually API/summarize and actually API/list summary. And I will explain and show you an example in a minute. So here the call, I'm passing the YouTube video. So obviously I have an API key. I'm actually passing the URL, the YouTube video URL over there. And then I have actually added an option as well as a second parameters for a webhook. So the webhook has become handy if you want, for example, to pull the information back to your make scenario, or Zapier, for example, or any integration with actually a webhook in this case. The API would actually return transcription as started. And the way the transcription worked is I've actually challenged myself. I didn't want to use a large LLM model. So in this case, I'm using actually GPT 3.5 Turbo. Again, I would actually change this to a GPT-4 Mini. It's actually indeed cheaper and actually maybe faster as well. 3.5 has been actually also mentioned as deprecate as of yesterday. It will actually be, it has been announced as deprecate basically. But the idea for me of actually doing this is I wanted to challenge myself with a smaller models and to test, and I've actually tested up to a 2 hours video. Obviously the longer the video is, the longer it takes for the system to summarize everything. But the way it worked is actually working with the token. So I'm doing a token count, and then I'm actually not to be over limit of the token, instead of actually counting the words, I'm actually using the token approach, which actually more robust for production side. Once the transcript is done, this is actually being pushed in my Postgres database. Why do I'm saving this on Postgres? I'm planning to actually make a website out of this where I can actually summarize any of my video, and the end goal of this API would be for me to be able to discuss with the website itself, the website I would build, where it has actually all my knowledge, all my YouTube being summarized, and then returning the information that I need based on the summary over there. So that's the reason why I'm actually having this. I have a Postgres database. You could save this into an Airtable, and in fact, I'm gonna do another parameter here. I'm gonna put database, like the Airtable database, and then the system will understand, okay, here's base, here's the table ID, and then I'm gonna push all the content to an Airtable, for example. It's actually on the to-do list to continue. And remember, the webbook, you have the book information where we have actually the titles, the summary, and then the chapter. The chapter is being actually defined by timestamp, sorry. And I can actually have a summary of all those timestamps. So this will allow me to basically return the information with the web application that I'm planning to build, where I could then potentially ask and say, okay, I want to return, like, give me an example of a video that will make an API call with make.com, for example, or tell me how can I validate my MVP ID if I had actually a video about MVP and ID validation. The second endpoint was actually list summary. And this is actually basically listing everything that I have on the database, and this will actually look like this. So I have a giant Johnson string, and I'm going to show you here. So basically, I have it from my terminal here. So bear with me. I'm just gonna grab the whole call over here, right? And do it. Maybe not. It works. Sorry, the computer is a little slow as we speak, but here is the whole. So it's the whole output that I've actually the whole output from the terminal itself. Here, I've actually copying and pasting this into a Johnson validator. So it's just a Johnson link. That's what I use to actually validate the Johnson every time. And here, as you see, I have actually obviously the first video, Rick Ashley, returning me actually what's the chapters and what's what we discussed about. Here, another video where I have the video ID, titles, URL, summary, and then chapters. And I can see from there. And as you see, it's actually somehow like this was actually another prompt I've tested over there, and it wasn't actually as good as before. So I've actually reverted back to I want basically, instead of giving me titles of the chapter, I want you to summarize the chapter itself. So this second endpoint is just for me to be able to grab the information. If I didn't have my Table Plus, I'm using Table Plus actually for validating and connecting to the information. So I have the database here where I have all the information. But basically the list summary is not something I'm going to use every day, but maybe I can actually call this out on make.com and then be able to sort out the Johnson for some of the points. All right, 7 minutes in. Sorry, it's a little longer than expected, but I hope this video is actually helping you guys or making you understand what's actually the possibility that you have. And so I've actually made here a quick diagram on how the system worked in the backend. So problem to solve, YouTube transcript. It's not always like, as I said, with make.com as an example, we have a lot of challenge. And I want to be able to summarize hours of video, and I should actually put hours with a S here, hours of video with a timestamp. So then I can potentially go back and revisit this in like a month for now, and actually have those information available at my fingertips. The solution, make your own API, plus your own database, and then you have a win. So the reason why I use this, and there is no right and wrong answer, I wanted to challenge myself. I haven't coded with Django for the last 4 or 5 years. I haven't touched Django over the last 5 years, basically. And the first Django, and I'm not a Python developer, obviously. I'm actually, the first project I did was already an API call 5 years ago, where I was pushing a button and configuring Cisco Meraki equipment, so networking equipment for my job, my 9-to-5 job. The reason why I use Django is because it's a framework allowing me to use Python library easily. I could have done this with a RESTful API, like a pure Node, Node.js stuff. It's just that I wanted to have the ability I wanted to explore, first of all. I wanted to have fun on the project. And I wanted to explore as well, as I said, Python library. So if I go to my VS Code, you will see, I'm going to open this up. Here is the Python's library that I'm currently. So I'm actually using, wait a minute, where did it went? Sorry. Maybe let me do this here. So I'm using actually YouTube Transcript API. I test it. I'm not using it. I'm gonna remove it. I'm using obviously OpenAPI, Skitty-Learn, GUnicorn for the front, Request, Beautiful Soup, and actually Psycode binary, which is a library I didn't know, but basically this allows me to return the titles fairly easily. Then I actually package this in my wall Docker. So I have actually a Docker file here, and I'm gonna minimize this. That's actually the whole Docker. The idea of the Docker is that it's allowing me to package my whole API, make it in a container, and then I could actually ship this container to any system, and it will always work the way I've actually designed it. So Dockerization is actually very important. I use Docker on daily basis. That's part of my 9-to-5 job, but it's actually very, very user-friendly. Maybe not user-friendly, but very good, like very easy to basically ship application and put it into a production, as an example. I'm then actually hosting this whole setup on my Coolify. So Coolify, if you don't know, it's actually an open source, package system that allowing you to actually host, for example, website or in this case Docker. So I'm actually using Coolify as an orchestration. So similar to Kubernetes, or similar to, like, it's an orchestration system basically that allowing, like, it's like an easy little panel where you can go and actually deploy your project. Like, all my website are actually hosted on Coolify, and actually I have all my Docker hosted over there. I have actually a small VPS server for now that's actually hosts most of my all of my project. I have actually my onboarding project over there. I have the API. I have actually some form. I have actually some graph that I'm hosting over there. I'm also using the Coolify for the hosting the Postgres. It's also a Docker containerization, like it's a Docker for the database. And then I'm actually using Traffic for the reverse proxy to actually make the application publicly available. So basically, when I say publicly available, means that I can actually hit a URL, like a public URL, like a website URL, where I can then just go and access it anywhere where I want it. And so I can call this out on make.com. Well, it's been 12 minutes. I apologize for the long video. I wasn't expecting this to be that long, but I hope this video was actually helpful. And I'll see you on the next video. I guess I won't bother you with, like, please subscribe, leave a comment. Obviously, I would like it, but thank you very much for watching.